Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. We hope you are enjoying our new chairs in our beautiful room. Yes, it is. I'm calling the regular meeting of the Ross-Town Council Thursday, May 8, 2025 to order at 6:07. Town Manager Johnson, has the agenda been posted?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
We have a few items to pull off the consent calendar, but we can do that when you get to it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Open time for public expression, limited to 3 minutes per speaker on items not on the agenda. Go ahead, please introduce yourself and make sure the microphone is on.
Testing. My name is Ross Asselstein. I'm from San Anselmo. I snuck here under the cover of daylight savings. I've come here to talk about two things. I've sent two letters to, I think, the mayor and the town administrator recently. One is a letter. I'm a flood guy. I know I've been watching the flood shenanigans for 15 years and forecasted that waste and watched that waste, and it's been really hard to watch. I sent a letter on risks and the funding and liabilities related to funding and maintenance or lack thereof. Hope this town can support San Anselmo in pushing for real live answers about risks from the flood zone, because right now they're, in my view, they are advocates as opposed to responding as fiduciaries. Right now the money's going to run out, things won't be maintained. A second letter I sent this morning was addressed to the CEO of Ross and the CEO of San Anselmo. That language ties to what FEMA needs to have a letter, or an entity that FEMA needs a letter from in regard to the application that's going into FEMA shortly. The responsibilities in that are considerable. I've outlined what I understand is happening and how I understand it probably won't work. But it's some advice to say that avoid the big, fast rush and the enthusiasm to do a little flood project, and do the work very carefully to draft that document. The consequent and cascading risk after that of signing a document that goes to FEMA is considerable. With that, I'll thank you for your time. I can say I'm consistently telling the same story at other different towns, and I'm speaking up at the Board of Supervisors consistently as well. For those who know the creek and what happened in the 70s, there was a decade of lawsuits. And I'm here to say my experience professionally in development was try to avoid lawsuits and avoid risk. And I hope that can happen here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else for public expression? Diane Redden.
We'll try, okay? Did I do it? Okay. It's pretty bad when everybody knows who you are, isn't it? I'm Diane Redden, 39 Willow Avenue. Mayor, council members, I want to first thank you guys for all the work that you do. Nobody is aware of how much work it actually is to be sitting there and doing everything beforehand. And I also I said I would come back and let everybody know what I've done with my house. I moved my camellia and it's happy. This is not the right time of year to transplant a camellia, so I had to be very nice to it and talk to it. But it has been moved, as have a few more plants, and we are trying desperately hard to put clay pots close to the house and get rid of most of the plants up against the house. So I just thought I would let everybody know. And I have been trying to stir the pot for fire safety and for neighborhoods. So we'll see. Hopefully that will get going in the next couple of months.
Thank you, Diane. Anybody else? Okay, we're moving on to the presentation of the 10-year service award to Donna Redstone. Cindy Martell.
Hi, council and members of the public. I have known Donna for, and sorry, my voice. I've known Donna for a short time compared to some of you here at the town of Ross. But in that time, I have come to know a genuine, caring person with a family that she's very proud of. Donna's knowledge of the history of this office is immeasurably important. Her willingness to step in and assist any town department with any number of things is truly appreciated. Her sleuthing abilities are well known and highly regarded by town staff. If Donna can't find it, it's probably not out there. I feel fortunate to have Donna's assistance getting answers to questions I don't know, and there's a lot of them. Her willingness to step in when needed, and now with my hearing loss, being my phone call and message interpreter. Thank you, Donna, for your service.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I was like, I don't have salad in my teeth.
Thank you, Donna, for all your work. Next, we have a presentation of 20-year service award to Officer Danny Moy by Chief Pata.
Danny. We'll get his attention in a second. Come on up, Danny. Mayor, members of the council, town manager Johnson, public, I'd like to introduce to you Sergeant Danny Moy again. You last met him in 2005 when he was hired at this police department. He's had an incredible career here the entire time at the Ross Police Department, and I'm proud to have him here with us. Danny was born and raised in Beverly Hills. He managed his family's poultry and seafood business before he came here. That's where he met his wife, Gina, who worked for Wolfgang Puck at Spago's in LA, a great place. They have two daughters, Mia and Maggie. Maggie's headed to San Diego University, or University of San Diego here very soon. And Mia's graduating from Denver University. 2005, shortly after he arrived here, Sergeant Moy received the Mothers Against Drunk Driving Award for DUI enforcement here in this town. He was recognized. He was appointed range master for the police department in 2009. He still currently teaches all of our officers training related to firearms and less lethal weapons. He also helps other agencies in the county by lending his time to help them with training their officers. After my arrival in 2021, I had to fill a supervisor's position. We conducted a test here in the county. We invited 3 lieutenants from outside police departments who really didn't know him, and I barely knew. And they came in and they helped us conduct a test, and Sergeant Moy was selected to be the person to take on that leadership role. So we promoted him in 2022. It was a great honor for me, and now it's an honor for me to present his 20-year achievement award here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Moy and Chief Pata. Congratulations. All right, next we have a presentation from the wonderful group at Cedars. Terry.
Okay, so I suspect many of you know that Cedars is a remarkable organization, and it's located right here in Ross. They are launching a new county-wide campaign called Choosing Kindness. And that initiative is starting with the town of Ross. So there are 3 speakers from Cedars who want to tell you about this initiative. But before I introduce them, I just want to introduce 2 other people that are in the audience from Cedars. Chuck Green, could you raise your hand? Chuck is the executive director of Cedars, and Katie Ladouceur is the development director. Okay. Now, if we could have these three people come up to the microphone, and they are Casey Coco, who's the Director of Strategic Planning, Rose Gordon, who's a resident and also a weaver, and is on the Client Advisory Council, and Teresa Pardella, who is also a resident and a weaver, and I've got a number of your weavings, Teresa, and is also on the Client Advocacy Council. And also I'm a jeweler too. And a jeweler as well. Artists, both of you. So, thank you. Make sure the microphone is on.
While I start, do you guys want to hand these out to the council? Thank you, Mayor and council members, for having us here today. As Terry said, I'm Casey Coco, and I'm joined by Rose and Teresa. They're two incredible self-advocates, and they're also members of our Client Advisory Council, which we'll tell you about in a bit. We are here to invite you to kick off a town-wide and soon-to-be county-wide Choose Kindness campaign. As Terry mentioned, Cedars was founded here in 1919, just 11 years after the town was incorporated. So we've been a part of this town for over a century, and many of you or your neighbors may already have a connection with us. But for those less acquainted, really quickly, a little overview. Cedars runs 3 award-winning day programs serving about 200 adults with developmental disabilities. We have the Fine Arts Studios where artists create and sell their work. We have Community Connections with volunteer opportunities across the Bay. And the Textile Art Collaborative, a 23-acre ranch for weaving, gardening, and animal care. We also support over 100 residents in Ross and in Novato in 10 safe, supportive homes that individuals are proud to call their own. So, our real impact, though, goes beyond the numbers served and the types of services we provide. Our Cedars participants truly live creative, productive, joyous, and healthy lives because they're empowered to express the very best version of themselves. That's really what we're about. Not just support, but transformation through connection, growth, and self-expression. And every day, those people that we serve show us what's really possible when individuals are included and supported and treated with dignity and care. And that is why we're here today. That's what brings us here. So the Choose Kindness campaign was actually created by the Client Advisory Council itself. The Client Advisory Council are resident and participant representatives from each of the programs. They identified a critical issue, the need for more everyday kindness and inclusion in public life. The Client Advisory Council decided they could make a difference, and they came up with this idea. The campaign is now one of Cedars' proudest expressions of self-advocacy and community leadership. So let's talk about it. Rose, would you share the inspiration behind the campaign and what you hope it will change?
Sure. Okay. You guys can hear me okay? Mm-hmm. So the reason that the Cedars Client Advisory Council made it, the decision to have the Choose Kindness campaign, was because one of the clients was having an unfortunate situation with another client or two, and one of their friends saw this and came to the council and said, we're having some issues can you look into this and see what we can do? They wanted to protect their friend. So what happened was the council looked into it and found that not just in Cedars, but in the community, there was a little disturbance, if you will. And to fix that, they said, you know, everyone should really just choose kindness. And that's where the whole campaign began. And it's, like I said, it's not just in Cedars that you find that people are getting, I wouldn't call it directly like being bullied or discriminated against, but that does happen, unfortunately, in the community. One such example was when I was at FAS, our Fine Arts Studios, quite a few years back. The store is now under new management, so this is not an issue anymore. But at the time, the person behind the counter, they would sometimes not give you the correct change because they couldn't count. The person they were serving could not count their change. So they're just like, oh, this is how much I'm giving, okay. So other than that, another thing that happened was that while I was at FAS, we go for walks sometimes to the same store. And one time we had one of our clients, she's a little thing because she has Down syndrome. It was a hot day and it was quite a walk for her because she's so little. We got to the store and I'm getting some stuff for myself. Our teacher who was with us asked the guy behind the counter, can she have some water? And he said, oh, I can't give it to her from the faucet. It's against regulation. She has to buy the water. There was a nice lady there who agreed to buy the water for her. But while I'm paying for my stuff, the guy was like, why didn't you buy it for her? Which the teacher and myself, I was flabbergasted. I couldn't say anything to him. But the teacher was like, that's very unprofessional. And then what I was thinking to myself afterwards, if I could have said something to him, I'd be like, is that how you want to be treated, sir? You go to a store and you're thirsty and they're like, oh, I can't do it because it's regulation. You have to buy it. And if someone else is saying to buy it and you're with a friend and your friend's just getting stuff for themselves, what, you want your friend to be treated that way? It's just basic, like, treat people like you want to be treated. We're the same as anyone else.
So, Teresa, do you want to talk about what kindness means to you and why it's important?
Yes.
Got it, T?
Yeah, I got it. Hello, my name is Teresa Pardella. So kindness is something you do for someone and you never expect anything in return. Especially for people with disabilities. It's hard for them to understand that kindness is what kindness is. So I'm here to make sure that people in Ross are understanding that kindness is bigger and could be brought into the world, and it's free. If you see someone with a disability, make sure that they are seen and greet them. Loved and acknowledged, because you never know that the person has a disability because it's not very hard to see. For example, when I was in school during elementary and stuff, people were bullying me and not treating me with respect because of my disability. I went to a school in the East Coast that had people with disabilities, and I started growing into a wonderful person. And once I got into Cedars, I continued growing this. And everyone was like me. Once I came, yeah. So please, if you see someone with disability, acknowledge them. We are part of Ross at San Anselmo, and make sure that kindness brings out to the world. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Teresa. So, as Teresa indicated, this campaign is about more than Cedars. It's about all of us. It's about creating a Ross and a county where kindness is the way of life, where all people treat one another with compassion, and where differences are met with curiosity, not with judgment, where inclusion is not just a goal, it's the norm. So we've already begun. We've begun spreading the word. We've been working with residents like Age Friendly Ross. And as we mentioned before, we chose to launch right here in Ross because this is where our story began 100 years ago. This is home. So what's next? Next, we plan to visit local materials and share, what they might do to be open and accommodating to people with disabilities, and invite them to join the campaign, to speak at schools about empathy, inclusion, and the power of small acts, and eventually to expand the campaign throughout Marin County. So we'd love your support. And we're asking the council to officially recognize the Choose Kindness campaign by adopting the town proclamation, to help spread the message in Ross, including through the morning after newsletter, and to lead by example, encouraging schools, businesses, and residents to choose kindness every day. Your support helps us to continue to empower people with developmental disabilities to live fully, to speak boldly, and to become the best expression of who they are. When we choose kindness, not just in words, but in how we treat one another, we create a world where everyone of every ability feels seen, respected, and included. That's the kind of community that we all deserve, and the kind of community that Ross can help us lead the way in building. So on behalf of Rose and Teresa, myself, and everyone at Cedars, thank you again for giving us this time and space today, and for considering walking on this journey with us, and for choosing kindness towards people with disabilities and towards all people every day.
I just want to actually thank you again. Rose and Teresa, thank you so much. Casey, Chuck, thank you for making this possible with Katie. Again, we are so proud to be the first town in all of Marin where they're starting this campaign. And I think choosing kindness is so appropriate today and every day. So thank you so much.
And I'm hoping you go national really soon. Thank you very much for being here.
Mayor, I think there will be a proclamation that says that the town of Ross supports the Choosing Kindness campaign, and that is, I think, part of the consent calendar, and it will be signed today, and we will send it to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now on to the mayor's report. Our sincere and heartfelt thanks to Bill Kirscher for serving as mayor in 24-25. By my count, Bill presided at 20 regular and special council meetings, attended weekly meetings with the town manager and me, attended monthly Ross Property Owners Association meetings, fielded calls and emails from residents, and represented the town at numerous county events. And we thank you, Bill, for all your time and your great efforts. I am excited to undertake the role of mayor. My prior tenure as mayor was during COVID, when all our meetings and events and literally everything were held via Zoom, and I know it will be much more rewarding now. Last month, the council held our annual budget meeting. We began with a review of our town goals and agreed to add a new goal to ensure that we are providing effective and timely communication with our residents. Along these lines, we will be changing how we update residents after council meetings. Tomorrow will be our last morning after. Starting in June, our monthly newsletter will be emailed to residents the week after our council meetings. This will allow us time to provide more substantive and detailed information about important Ross issues. The new newsletter will be called Ross Review. In addition, on the day of our monthly council meeting, a council member will be at the post office from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. to engage with residents on agenda items or other town topics, and you can feel free to bring us lunch. I look forward to seeing you at the post office on Thursday, June 12th. Please look for a council member on the day of our regular council meetings, generally the second Thursday of the month, and please stop by to chat with us. The town will also be redesigning its website to modernize it and make it more user-friendly. We will let you know when the new design is launched. We hope you joined us April 25th at Live on the Common. It was an enormous success with great music, excellent food and drinks, fun events for kids, and terrific company. Huge thanks to the Ross Property Owners Association for spearheading another tremendous event for our community. Not only do council members attend monthly council meetings focused on the town, but we also serve as liaisons on various county and regional boards, such as the Ross Valley Fire Department, Ross Valley Paramedic Authority, Transportation Authority of Marin, Association of Bay Area Governments, and the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority. Other dedicated Ross citizens also serve as town liaisons, and we thank Tom Gaffney for his work on Marin Emergency Radio Authority, Chris Martin serving on Flood Zone 9 Advisory Committee, and Diane Duda on the Marin Commission on Aging for their past and continued service. Positions are still available on the Marin Sonoma Mosquito and Vector Control District. Anyone raising their hand for that? And also Ross Ready, which is our disaster preparedness. And if you're interested in either one of those, please let us know. Thank you. Now we move to number 8, council, committee, and liaison reports. Terry.
I sit on the Transportation Authority grant for the town of Ross, and our last meeting was April 24th. Just a couple of highlights. One is that there's funding available there's funding available for the town of Ross in fiscal year 2025-26. One source is the state local streets and roads funding, of which Ross has available $132,000. And then there's Measure AA funds for local infrastructure, and funding available for Ross is $64,000. One other note, and I think people will be glad to hear this, I'm hoping it actually is true. You know the 52 miles on 101, it's called the Marin Sonoma Narrows Project, should be done sometime toward the end of summer. So one of the things that is happening is if you drive from Marin County into Sonoma in the sort of the commuter lane, the HOV lane, the times are different for when you can or cannot be in that HOV lane. So they are going to change the commuter lanes back, going forward, going north and going south to the following times. So keep this in mind if you're commuting. Is you will be able to use the commuter lane from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. So it's a little bit longer for Marin than it is for Sonoma. They have different times when they have more congestion, so it's a way to be sort of consistent. I know that TAM and other highway agencies will be checking to see if this is really working or if there's backlog in some of the streets that come into 101. But I think for many of us, we'll be grateful that the Narrows will be open for that commuter lane and more lanes for cars to pass. So that's it. Thank you.
Anybody else? No? I just wanted to mention that I spoke at a Firewise neighborhood group. There's a new Firewise group that's forming on the Laurel Grove side of Ross and Kentfield, and they're really excited. They had a big meeting at Marin Art and Garden, and if any of you live in that area, you will hopefully be hearing about that emerging group very soon. Number 9, staff and community reports. Town Manager Krista Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor McMillan. First, I would like to thank the Town Council for authorizing town staff and approving a budget for us to make these modest, but I think spectacular improvements to your town hall facility here, to the council chambers. That was just a recent decision that the council made, and then led by our recreation manager, Maureen Borthwick. She worked with our very, very talented Public Works Department, in particular, Rich and Zach and Anthony, to implement this project. So all last week, they were busy in here when all the bolted down seats were removed and the floors were sanded. Beautiful job, I think. The windows have been cleaned. It has been dusted extensively, and we have new tables and chairs. These tables are the old ones, but we will have new ones pretty soon. So it actually goes, you are already implementing what, if you approve it on your consent calendar, will be a new goal that has to do with communication and engagement with the community, because this new configuration allows these chambers to be used to engage and better communicate with the community. Because we'll be able to have workshops in here, we'll be able to have some recreation programming in here that we couldn't have before with the fixed seating. So congratulations. In other news, we have 2 new standard parking stalls in our downtown. One is a new 15-minute parking stall near the EV stations in the post office parking lot. And another is, thanks to an inspiring request by Councilmember Salter, we have another angled parking space on the Ross Common near the playing field. So two more parking spaces in the downtown. Also under a new pilot program, and completed with striping too, our Public Works Department will be installing 2 parking boxes on Upper Road that will prevent cars from blocking both the fire lane and the Department of Public Works access to a town-maintained drainage culvert that's up there. So it's a pilot program we have to encourage folks to park in those specific striped boxes. So we'll let you know how that goes, okay? Kind of sad news for us. Our senior building inspector, Eric Robb, who's been with the town for a substantial amount of years, memorable years, he's accepted a job with San Anselmo as their building official. It's a great promotion for Eric, and sad for us. Fortunately, we do have a contract with a private company for inspection services, so there should be no disruption in customer service while we recruit for a new building inspector. Eric's last day is May 22nd, and we're glad if he has to leave us, we're glad that he's working close by Ross, and we wish him the very best in his new promotion. The next few updates are from Chief Pata. And he informs us that the police department is putting fire awareness messaging on the back of the department's 4 patrol cars. 2 are going to have a high-low, time to go messaging, and 2 of them will have Alert Marin messaging with QR codes in Spanish that lead to English and Spanish to sign for folks to sign up for Marin, Alert Marin. Secondly, Chief Pata is hosting a pop-up police station coffee with coffee and a chat with the police chief in front of the Ross School this coming Wednesday, May 14th from 8 a.m. into noon. He will have some Alert Marin literature there and will encourage people that stop by to sign up for Alert Marin and has even offered to help them sign up if they need that help. A new traffic trailer that was approved by the council in our budget this year. It has been ordered and it is going to be delivered very soon. This is part of staff's initiative to calm traffic in the town. So it'll show how fast you're going and can be moved around into problem spots. And then finally, speeding citations are up 44 year to date. We've had 44 speeding citations compared to just 7 the year before. Our total cites this year are 144 compared to 55 last year. This is over 100% increase, and it's because of the police department's focus on driver safety and slowing traffic on Ross streets, particularly on Sir Francis Drake. So kudos to Chief Pata and to the whole Ross PD team for that. And that's what I have for you this evening. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Krista. Ross Property Owners Association, I think it's Elena Batala. Oh, hi. Hello.
How's everyone doing? My name's Peter Solar. I live at 15 West Road here in Ross, and I'm the treasurer of the Ross Property Owners Association, and I'm here to give an update. First, want to say thank you for the support and the recent approval of the $25,000 that you gave to increase our budget. You also, the staff's collaboration and coordination, your support is how we're expanding today, so we really do appreciate it. Some of this may be redundant. We did meet with Firewise at our last Ross Property Owners Association meeting, and they gave us some great ideas on how to essentially create neighborhood watch groups within the town of Ross. We're gonna try to mirror some of the information and support that they've done in other towns nearby, and so we're gonna work with them and then try to spread the word and create these neighborhood watch groups in the town, and they're essentially to help in the event of any type of emergency, wildfire, earthquake, or whatever. So it's something that we'll get behind, and we'll probably be able to bring more information going forward. The other thing I wanted to mention was we had a Live on the Commons event on April 25th. It was a huge success. All ages were out. Everybody, I actually attended the event with my family. We started, got there at like 5, and we didn't leave till 8 o'clock. So it was a great event. We're having another event on May 3rd, which is actually going to be catered towards younger people. So it'll be it's for kids, and so it'll probably be music that's geared towards a younger group. But we assume it'll also be super successful. Last Friday we had a global fair on the Commons, where essentially families represented where they're from, and they either displayed it with posters and pictures and different types of food. It was super successful. There was entertainment there, and the RPOA collaborated with the PTO, and we were able to provide a little money for that. So that was super successful. Hope to do that again next year. The Ross Auxiliary is hosting a spring fling in April, and we had a great turnout. So we hope to do that again next year. Actually, they just had it, so they had it in April. And then the other thing is we are proposing to put lighting in the post office. We talked about this upgrade last year, and this would be something that we would potentially like to go forward with. And we understand that the post office is currently in lease negotiations, and they have been for a long time. So we do recognize that, but we still think that it's the town's building, and that will add value by improving the lighting. So it'll be in the front and in the back, and we have dollars associated scheduled for that. One thing we did do, we collaborated with a mother who had a child in kindergarten, and the kindergarten class planted flowers in front of the post office. I don't know if you've seen those. It was a super win-win for everybody. The town helped coordinate, and we are now watering those flowers using the same person that waters the flower baskets. So that's going well. I know there was some emails that went back and forth regarding an oak tree. We'll continue to monitor to make sure that there's no issues with that tree. But we've been told that the flowers itself will not impact the tree. And I think that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Would you mind, thank you. Would you mind stating the date of the kids' event on the Common? I think, I didn't catch it.
The day when they planted
The kids' event that's happening on Live on the Common for children.
yeah.
Is it May 30th?
May 3rd. May 3rd is what he said. He
I
said
know
May
he
3rd.
said May 3rd, but
May
that's already-
30th.
May
30th,
30th.
sorry.
Yeah.
May 30th. Okay, great. So everyone put that on their calendar. All right. Thank you,
That's
Peter.
it. Thanks.
Number 10, the consent agenda. The following items will be considered in a single motion unless removed from the consent agenda. And I think there are a few items that will be removed.
Yes, I'd like to remove items 10D and 10I.
Okay?
I would like to remove 10J.
Okay.
And could I remove 10E, please?
10E. Okay, and I would like to remove 10I. So we are removing D, E, I, J, and K from the consent agenda.
Excuse me, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Robbins, did you see B as in boy or D as in dog?
I said D as in, D and E.
D and E?
Yeah.
Okay, so
D
not
as
B.
in dog.
Thank you.
He's already off.
So
No, I said E.
Councilmember Robbins wanted E. E is an egg.
I wanted D also.
No, okay, so she wanted 2.
Egg, I don't know. Elephant.
So I'm going to read the items that have been pulled from the consent agenda. Everyone, ready? They are D, E, I, J, and K.
Did someone pull K?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I should have, yes. All right, so for the remaining items, A, B, C, F, G, and H, is there any public comment on those items? Seeing none, bring it back to the council for a motion on items A, B, C, F, G, and H.
I move we approve those items.
I'll second.
Thank you. City roll call?
I'm sorry, who? Roll call. I know, but who did the motion?
Who motioned?
I did.
Elizabeth and Terry.
And then Terry.
All right, I'm sorry. Mayor McMillan,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowling,
Aye.
Councilmember Kircher,
Aye.
Councilmember Salter,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins.
Aye.
All right, with a vote of 5, the motion passes.
All right, so we will take each item that was pulled from the consent agenda separately, and we'll start with item 10D. Town Council to waive the second reading read by title only of ordinance number 728, amending various chapters of the Ross Municipal Code, cleanup.
Mayor, Councilmember Salter, I know you pulled it, but I have a few remarks. Is it all right if I say them?
I didn't pull D. I pulled a different one. Oh, I did?
That's the one with the
I.
trees.
Oh, I thought we were starting with D.
D as
D
in
as a dog.
Okay,
D as a
sorry.
dog.
Apologies. Yes, go ahead.
It's okay, okay, thank you.
But we're being very kind to each other, so
Sorry,
that's good.
I have G for giggles right now. Okay. Last month, the town council introduced an ordinance to reflect cleanup amendments and minor edits to the Ross Municipal Code. One of the edits that was introduced was to Chapter 12.24, which is entitled Planting, Alteration, Removal, or Maintenance of Trees. The edit added the phrase Zone 0 to the definition of a fire hazard. Staff recommends pausing any revisions to this chapter in the Ross Municipal Code until the state of California has finalized its rules regarding what, if any, trees will be allowed in Zone 0, which is the 5 feet adjacent to a home. It is anticipated that the state will finalize its rules in the coming year, and at that time, staff will return with recommended edits to the chapter that will also comply with whatever the new state rules are. After consulting with the town attorney, we are asking the town council to reintroduce the item this evening instead of asking you to adopt it. And the reason is in order for us to not include the edits to the chapter that was part of the ordinance introduced last month, we have to reintroduce it per the town attorney. So instead, it is recommended that the council formally reintroduce the ordinance without the edits to that chapter this evening. A revised staff report and ordinance have been placed on the dais for you to consider, and they were placed on the town's website earlier this week. This reintroduced ordinance, assuming the council reintroduces it tonight, will be brought back to the town council for final adoption at your June 12th council meeting. Thank you.
Any questions to staff? Any public comment on item number 10D? Okay, we'll bring it back to council for any discussion and a motion.
Is the motion to reintroduce it then?
Yes.
So I move we reintroduce this without the Zone 0 section.
I'll second. Okay.
All right, that we reintroduce, waive the first reading, read by title only, and consider adoption of ordinance number 728, amending various chapters of the Ross Municipal Code to reflect cleanup amendments to town holidays, job titles, gender language, scrivener's errors, grammatical corrections, errors and omissions, and other administrative provisions, which was introduced at the April 3, 2025 Town Council meeting.
Okay, I'll second that.
Thank you.
Mayor hold on. Mayor McMillan.
It's hurting all of us, Cindy.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, roll call vote, please. Mayor McMillan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dowling.
Aye.
Councilmember Kircher.
Aye.
Councilmember Salter.
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Robbins.
Aye.
On a vote of 5-0, the motion is carried.
Thank you. Now, item 10E, Town Council to waive the second reading read by title only, ordinance 729 designating fire hazard severity zones in the Ross local responsibility area, which was introduced at the April 3, 2025 Town Council meeting.
So I pulled this just to, because I've heard from some residents who are concerned that, that approving this, and we may be required to approve it, but is setting in motion a plan for subsequent restrictions on landscaping and planting that, need widespread vetting and agreement before they're enacted. So it was just to reassure residents that this reading doesn't commit the town to any particular plan. This is simply the zone, and that if there are to be future guidelines about building materials or landscaping, that will be considered separately. Is that correct?
I'd like to ask Rob Bastian from Ross Valley Fire Department to respond, please.
That is correct.
Thank you. Then,
Any
are
other,
there-
do we have any public comment on item 10E? Then we'll bring it back and for any discussion or a motion.
So I move we approve 10E.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Mayor McMillan?
Aye.
Councilmember Dowling?
Aye.
Councilmember Kircher?
Aye.
Councilmember Salter?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to item 10I. Mayor McMillan recommends that the town council ratify the appointments to town council committees, subcommittees, and liaison assignments for fiscal year 2025-26.
So I speak today regarding the committee assignment process and a troubling precedent our new mayor is looking to set. As we know, the mayor and mayor pro tem positions are largely ceremonial. No one is elected to these roles by the voters. By tradition, each council member rotates through these roles on an annual basis. The council is supposed to make decisions by consensus and speak as one body. While the mayor is given authority to appoint council members of various committees, in practice, committee assignments have been made collaboratively. According to the procedures manual under JPA and liaison appointments, typically assignments to commission, liaison, and JPA appointments are made at the beginning of each council term. A council term is typically 2 to 4 years. The mayor will, further quoting from the procedures manual, the mayor will ask council members which assignments they desire and will submit recommendations to the full council. This year, Mayor McMillan has chosen to ignore those procedures. Without any warning or discussion, Mayor McMillan unilaterally decided to remove me from the MCE board. She never asked me which assignments I desired. She simply dictated that I would no longer serve on the MCE board and assigned me to the ABAG board. I do not feel heard when I voice my objections to her actions. The process laid out in the procedure manual ensures continuity to the various boards. It allows our council representatives to learn and grow in their positions, retaining important relationships and institutional knowledge. We all come to this council with different perspectives, methods, and styles. We may not always agree with each other, but we should not forget that each one of us has been elected directly by our residents. It's the people who get to judge us, not one another. I employ my colleagues not to ratify these committee assignments and change this process moving forward. We need to stamp out any real or perceived abuse of power to maintain the integrity of this body. Thank you.
Elizabeth, did you want to say something?
Well, just, to echo a little bit what Matt said, I think that typically the changes to the liaison appointments have been when there have been new council members who are seated and there are open positions and shuffling because they're new, they're open positions and they need to be filled. So I'm not in favor of doing shuffling every single year unless it needs to be done. I am currently one of the town's reps to the fire board, and would enjoy continuing in that role. I guess I would say that I would support a list that keeps the assignments as they are, or support waiting a month to just reconsider the assignments.
I would like to respond to both of those comments. I put this item on the consent agenda because I didn't want to have these discussions publicly, There's 2 places in the procedures manual that deal with liaison positions. And as my role as mayor, according to the procedures manual, every year, the mayor shall appoint council members to the 4 standing committees, as well as representatives on regional joint power authority boards and regional committees. The purpose of the JPA role is to make decisions and advocate positions that are in the interest of the JPA, while also considering the interest of the town of Ross. And my goal as mayor of Ross is to do what's in the best interest for the town of Ross, including ensuring that Ross remains a positive and productive member of our broader community. We need to be able to have a positive and productive relationship with others to influence change on the boards that we sit on. If that relationship has been destroyed, then we need to make a change so we can continue to have the ability to influence decisions. The only way we are successful is when we can have people agree with us. If the situation now is that people are not accepting us or listening to us, then we no longer have that ability. When a positive relationship no longer exists, we must find a new approach with a different person representing the town of Ross. And it's for those reasons that I am recommending that Matt, you be assigned to ABAG and be the alternate on MCE, and that Elizabeth, I replace you on the fire board. Should we take public comment? All right, bring it back for further discussion.
It goes too fast.
Sorry?
Our town clerk just wanted to let you know if there was any raised hands on Zoom. It takes her just a minute to look, and there are no raised hands. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that not only is it a bad precedent on our council, it has created disruption to the MCE board itself. As the council has seen in public comment, certain board members and members of the public who represent the Marin Conservation League are very upset by the way that the manner in which this has gone down. If there is to be a change, it should be done in public. If there are people who are complaining or they are having an issue with certain board members, it should be made in public. It should be made at those boards for the boards to deal with. Back channeling to the representatives at each town is a horrible precedent. And I can just tell you that my colleagues on the board of MCE are very upset about the manner in which this has gone down. So aside from the procedural issues I see here, that I was never even asked what my committee assignments would be, and I was assigned by dictate, the issues are also prevalent on the board of MCE, that now there's disruption there as board members feel like there is a dangerous precedent being set there as well.
You know, I'm going to try to practice this choose kindness motto. But the reason I'm making this change or recommending this change, Matt, and you and I have talked about it, is because I have received 4 separate complaints from people on the MCE board. And I'm not going to get into the specifics about what those complaints are, but I have received complaints starting in December to as recently as April. And I circled back with some of those MCE board members who have expressed concerns. And if anything, their concerns have become more significant. One person said that you pursue lines of questioning that are harmful to the agency and that it's damaging to the agency to have you on the board. Another person said that you, with all your questions, you create suspicion that is not healthy for the agency. And so I am not trying to abuse my power. I am trying to preserve the reputation of Ross, and I want to do what's in the best interest of Ross. This is not about me. This is not about you. This is representing Ross in the best ability that we can. And it's my judgment that you should be the alternate. You should feed your comments to Bill, and Bill can be on MCE, and you can use your housing expertise to be on ABAG.
So I have a response to that. The comments made to you are in private, and so we don't know who these people are. They have not made it public, And I think that that is the biggest concern among everybody involved, the MCE board and here, is it's all hearsay and suspicion, and there's been no public comment. If these people had concerns, they have public vehicles to bring those concerns both at the MCE board and to the town of Ross, which they have not. And they could be here tonight as well, and they are not. What is on the public record are letters that were submitted by duly appointed elected officials advocating for me to stay on that board, and a group of 3 concerned citizens that have been following MCE for over 10 years and they aren't elected, and they're concerned public citizens who look to this board to act in their best interest. And so while I'm not doubting that maybe these 4 people complained to you, they did not do so in public, and they did not do so following the channels in which they should voice those concerns. So this entire way in which you're taking this information and acting is also troubling, because you're not publicly coming forward with the names and the actual complaints, and those people should come on their own behalf before this board and the MCE, before this council, and neither have happened. So it's a horrible, horrible, horrible way to behave. I'm troubled by it, and again, my colleagues on MCE in their letters had said so as well.
Further discussion?
It would seem to me that it might make sense to have a change and then to move on. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting to turn on my microphone. Okay, so I would say, given the controversy, I think it would be best to make a change now, so that we can let the controversy die.
You know, it's said that being the mayor and vice mayor, these are ceremonial roles, and having recently served as the mayor, yes, to a large degree they are, but the main delegation of authority to the mayor is procedural. And procedural means not only putting together our agenda, determining the order in which we will consider matters, but it also concerns things like managing all these appointments to these outside boards and commissions and monitoring them. Our procedure manual does say that appointees do serve at the pleasure of the mayor, which implies that the mayor has the ability to make changes. I agree, it's not something we do all the time, but I've seen it done while I've been on the council. I think it's unfortunate that we do have this controversy. Of course, I would like to see everybody on the board get along and everything be just fine. But in the mayor's judgment, it's not. And my inclination is, well, first of all, having been the mayor, I know it's not easy. It sounds easy, but it actually in practice is not, because you have a lot of different considerations to balance, and you can't always please everybody. And I had that situation arise multiple times, and these are tough decisions. Not easy decisions, I'm sure that Julie would agree. But I do think that our procedures do give the mayor quite a bit of discretion here. I haven't been a party to these conversations. I don't feel that I'm in a position to substitute my judgment. It's a judgment call. And whether I would do the same or not, in Julie's shoes, I'm not anymore. I'm not the mayor, so I don't have to make those difficult decisions. But my inclination would be not to disapprove what the mayor has determined. And I don't mean to be insensitive or not. I have listened carefully to everything that is said, but I think that it's best for the council to continue our tradition or to our procedures of delegating this to the mayor. And so I do think some deference is required here.
So I agree with that. I mean, the mayor has the right to do that. I just think it's important to point out that it's not very typical. It's not very typical for the mayor to take people off of positions. I'm not sure I've seen that in the 12 years I've been on the council, but it is, per the procedure manual, the mayor's right to do that.
And I think we're not in a typical situation for both boards, unfortunately. So Do we need to have a vote on this? So Krista?
Yes.
Yes? Krista, could you call the roll?
So somebody want to make a motion?
Oh, yes, a motion.
Motion to ratify.
Motion to ratify.
I would like to make a motion to ratify.
A second.
Mayor McMillan?
Aye.
Councilmember Dowling?
Aye.
Councilmember Kircher?
Aye.
Councilmember Salter?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins?
No.
And the motion carries 3-2. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number J, Town Council to consider adding an 8th goal to the town goals. It's currently drafted as provide effective and timely communication with residents. Terry, did you pull that?
I did. This will be very easy. I would say if we could change one word. So instead of saying provide effective and timely communication to residents, if we could say provide effective and timely communication with residents. So it goes two ways. It's not just us being responsible for communicating out. Oh, with.
The agenda says with, but the staff report may say to.
It says to.
Okay,
Okay. So if it says with, I'm for it.
you're with it. Okay, any public comment on the new town goal number 8, provide effective and timely communication with residents? Any council discussion?
First, I want to apologize for that inconsistency in my staff report. It's embarrassing. So thank you for pointing that out, Councilmember Dowling. Mayor McMillan?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowling?
Yes.
Councilmember Kircher?
Aye.
Councilmember Salter?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Oh, I'm sorry. Who made the motion? You're going to fire me as Assistant Town Clerk.
I don't think we made a motion. So we'll go back and make a motion. Can we do that retroactively? Terry, do you want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the wording for a new goal, which would be provide effective and timely communication with residents.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And we've already voted. We don't have to vote again, right?
Oh my gosh. Mayor McMillan?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowling?
Yes.
Councilmember Kircher?
Aye.
Councilmember Salter?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem
Yes.
Robbins? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 10K, Town Council to consider authorizing town manager to execute an agreement with Marin IT in the amount of $131,000 for cybersecurity implementation and information. I pulled this item because I didn't really understand from the staff report what the delta was, because it's going up by about 50%. And Krista provided me with that information. I thought it would be beneficial to educate the public on what the additional items are that are being covered.
Absolutely, and thank you, Mayor, for bringing this up. So we've received services from Marin IT for contract IT services for quite a few years now. And in recognition of an increased demand for better IT services here and efficiencies, and then even more importantly, to improve our cybersecurity, which has been identified by the Marin County Grand Jury, multiple reports in the last handful of years. We have increased our IT contract with Marin IT. So last year it was increased, and then we negotiated a new scope of work with them. And the increase is attributed to, first of all, an increase in an hourly rate for the tech who comes and spends about 4 hours here every week. And then we also, about half of that increase is actually for workstation replacement projects. So it is an IT best practice to replace your computers every 3 years or so. And we need to be getting in the habit of doing that, because that is a very important part of increasing our cybersecurity, and you get to a point where you start spending more money on IT tech support to fix your computers than you would just to buy a new one. So $21,000 of this increased scope of work is attributed to workstation replacement project. We're going to be spending about $4,000 extra this year to implement a password manager program, which is known to be increasingly important and recommended for use by our risk management pool and by Resolute Guard, who is the external company that evaluates on a monthly basis how well we're doing in terms of cybersecurity. Another one, the second biggest ticket item is $13,600 for an infrastructure refresh project. And this is something that Marin IT has strongly recommended. We need to upgrade our cabling and our sites for better wireless network connectivity between our sites and a secure backup drive for on-site storage. So those were the main things, main reasons for the upgrade. And the town has not paid. Historically, the town has really not paid much for IT services. And in this day and age, we need to have good technology for our staff to work efficiently and productively. And we also need to be cyber secure. And it's just, this is what we need to do.
Thank you for providing that information.
Thanks for the question.
Krista. Anyone have any questions? Any public comment on this item? Okay, we'll bring it back. We have a motion to approve item 10K.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor McMillan?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowling?
Yes.
Councilmember Kircher?
Yes.
Councilmember Salter?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Krista. Now, we are moving to public hearings on planning projects, Part 1.
Excuse,
Yes?
I'm sorry, excuse me, Mayor, on item, are we on 11?
Yes.
Item number 11, council members Kircher and Salter, I believe, are recused.
Oh, from the Loma Linda.
11A,
Yes.
excuse me, 51 Loma Linda.
Well, I was on the list. I believe Matt was on the list also, but I'm surprised that Matt's on the list. So Matt's on Garden, but that's all the way down the hill.
It's on the list, I defer to staff.
Yeah, I use Marin IT, and
So based on the Marin map distances, the recusal is 500 feet, and you're 500 feet away from.
There's a mistake. I mean, 500 feet's not far. I know I'm recusing myself. I'm just letting you know, like, Loma Linda and Garden are very far apart.
Might be as the crow flies, though.
Yeah.
It's probably as the crow flies.
It's the planning.
I don't think I have it here.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Give us a couple minutes and we can verify the distance.
Oh. I have a.
What happened to our water? Get it for you. Not budget. The keys. Let me get the keys. I'll be right back.
Should I ask them to pass it?
What's the address? Just want to verify it. Yes.
Okay. So we verified, and it is within 500 feet of 51 Loma Linda. It's just that there's a hill, so based on the topography.
Thank you, Roberta. Do we need to wait for Krista, or can you all start?
We can start.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight, the homeowner at 51 Loma Linda is requesting approval for a demolition permit and a design review. The project is proposing to remodel the exterior detached garage with the guest house structure by removing the existing plywood boards and replacing them for new cedar shingles. On April 15th, 2025, the ADR group expressed support for the project. Staff requests that the Town Council adopt Resolution 2517 for design review and a demolition permit. Thank you.
Questions from council to staff? Would the applicant like to speak?
Yeah, we do have Peter here, which is the architect here.
You have up to 15 minutes, but you don't need. Then, yeah,
Since it was so exciting the last hour. Peter Brockman representing the owners of 51 Loma Linda, the Robolords. I'm expressing kindness this evening because this has been fantastic. You're very professional, all of you, and I appreciate that. Have you all had a chance to visit the property, the cul-de-sac? Okay, I'm just here to answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant's architect?
No?
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Any public comment on this item?
Negative.
No, thank you. I can't even read my own writing. So we can bring it back for discussion or a motion?
I move we approve resolution number 2517.
I'll second that.
Great. Cindy, do you want to take roll?
I could do the roll.
Thank you.
Mayor McMillan?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowling?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins?
Yes.
With a vote of 3, 0, and 2 recused, the motion passes.
Thank you, Roberta. Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Thank you. So we should get the council members back.
I'll get him.
Thank you. Item 11B, 313 Upper Toyon Road, a hillside lot permit variance and town council consideration of adoption of resolution number 2518.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight, the homeowner and the applicant at 313 Upper Toyon is requesting approval for a hillside lot permit and a variance. The project is proposing to construct a 493 square foot parking deck within the side yard setback. And the existing mechanical equipment below the proposed deck will be screened by a 5-foot tall fence. During the ADR hearing on April 15, 2024, with a vote of 4-1, majority of the ADR members supported the variance, and all of them supported the design of the project. Staff requests that the Town Council adopts Resolution 2518, approving a hillside lot permit and a variance.
Questions for staff? Elizabeth?
So, I listened to the ADR meeting, and, yes, they all said, they would support the variance, but they all seem to say they can't they can't make the findings for the variance. And they sort of were saying, well, it could help the property because there's more parking, but one said he absolutely couldn't make the findings for a variance, and the others didn't seem to be able to make the findings either, even though they said it's okay to go ahead. So my question is, what are the findings for the variance? What is the hardship?
So Exhibit A of the resolution does provide findings for the council to consider. Based on some of the information provided by the applicant and his architect, based on the irregular shape and geometry of the lot, as well as the existing topography, there are patterns that make it challenging to circulate through the site. So by adding the parking deck configuration, it does ensure adequate maneuverability, make sure it's safer. The driveway they have is an emergency vehicle access. Based on the information from the homeowner, when there are deliveries or trucks, sometimes that's used to park. And so by adding this parking deck, it would allow guest parking, delivery parking to move out of the driveway access aisle and be absorbed by their property. So based on that request and the support of the adjacent neighbor, that would be some of the special circumstances in terms of findings that the council could make to grant a variance for the parking deck.
Thank you. Though the neighbor support doesn't have anything to do with findings, does it? I mean,
That does not
I
have-
agree he supports it, but that
Right.
doesn't play into the findings.
Right. I mean, in terms of visibility, some of the hillside lot findings would be tied into that, but not the variance findings. The variance findings are really based on a physical hardship, such as the topography, the narrowness of the driveway, and the ability for emergency vehicle access during times when there's guest parking, deliveries, that sort of thing. And also, I'm sure the property owner could add to that if they would want to explain further.
So I have a question on precedent. Have we approved a similar structure under similar circumstances?
So staff did look for a precedent such as a parking deck. The only ones we could find were historic, so non-conforming ones that are along Baywood. We couldn't find any records or permits for those parking decks, but they do exist.
But you didn't find any more recent parking decks that have been allowed under the Hillside Lot Ordinance?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay, we'll hear from the applicant if the applicant or the applicant's architect wishes to make a statement. You have up to 15 minutes, but you don't need to use it all.
Good evening, everybody. I'm the homeowner and applicant. To explain just some of the nuances of the parking might help make the reason for the necessity. So we have an easement for our neighbor up the driveway, and there's a turnabout outside of the gate of the home. That is the area where, Amazon, FedEx, our landscapers, their landscapers, will park, and it will be temporary, but, for enough time where if there is an emergency situation, they would be taking up the turnabout space. And what prompted some of this was a while back, we were in the process of potentially applying for an ADU. We ended up having a baby and decided we didn't want to do construction, and so we did away with that. But with that, when it got to the fire department made a request that they thought the driveway was too narrow, the turnabout area was too small. And there was a couple other requests unrelated to this. And so realizing that this would serve the purpose of making the turnabout safer for them, access easier, access for our neighbors in and out of their driveway through our easement, as well as moving cars away from this area and into our property behind the gate, we thought this would solve a lot of those issues. And, less important, but, I have a teenage daughter who's at Ross School. She will be fortunately and unfortunately be driving in a few years. And so the number of cars are only going to increase up there. And so we will get to a point where in the lower drive court, we have 3 parking garages. Otherwise, cars would have to park tandem and it would be musical chairs. Our main driveway really only accommodates 1 guest to come, turn around, and leave. So as it may seem, if you look at the overall site plan, it looks like there's plenty of space, but the way that it is situated doesn't really lend itself to permanent parking. And so that is the reason we're asking for this.
Is there public comment on this item? Oh, yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, just one question. Upper Toyon, and this could be for staff too, it's a very narrow road, very steep, narrow road from when I saw it, correct? And are you allowed to park on Upper Toyon or not?
The majority of it, no. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, the majority of it, no. Making grade as it meets Upper Toyon, that is a 2-lane striped road. When you get to Upper Toyon, I just call it a free-for-all because it's usually a game of chicken getting in and out. Some homes have kind of a parking turnout, but that belongs to the home. Other than that, there's no real parking available.
So sorry, question for staff as a follow-up. Keeping cars off of that very narrow road for fire or any sort of emergency services seems like something that we would want to do if we could create parking on the residents' homes. Okay, thank you.
Correct. Yeah.
Somebody on Zoom?
Yes.
Go ahead.
David, can you hear us?
David, can you go ahead?
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay, this is David Peterson. I'm at 307 Upper Toyon, which is the immediate neighbor. And we share what is a very long, if you've been up there, it's a very long driveway. So the concept of parking down on Upper Toyon is almost non-existent. It's a very steep, long driveway to be a long walk if anybody were to try to do that. As the immediate neighbor, the turnaround area is quite small. And when cars are parked there, which they have been regularly recently, it makes it a little bit difficult for us to get in and out of our property. But more importantly, the trucks and mini deliveries that we all have these days from Amazon and whatever, makes it very difficult for them to turn on big trucks. And more importantly than that, for sort of safety and health reasons, a fire truck would, if there were a car parked in the open area, the turnaround area, outside of where my neighbor parks his cars, there's a single car parked there. A fire truck almost could not turn around. And further, there's a standpipe to access the swimming pool at 313 that the fire department would have difficulty getting to. So I would just hope very much that you would consider these hardships and safety and health reasons to grant this variance and allow for them to have additional parking next door. That's my thoughts.
Thank you, David. Anybody else?
No.
There are no more raised hands online.
Okay. Did you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I think what our neighbor said is correct. And we have a mutual agreement about it. And he's been very kind and supportive in the ADR meeting and now in town council. But no, that's it.
Julie, I have a question.
Yes.
So right now, for that parking area going to your garages, there's a gate, is that right?
Correct.
Will that gate still be there?
The gate will still be there, but it will be for, like I said, anyone that we have, any service people, visitors, or anybody that would normally park outside would now be parking inside. So they have access to our home anyway, but it would take it out of the turnabout area where the standpipe is and where they're currently parking outside of the gate.
The probably deliveries, they won't have access, so they'll still park in that turnaround area. Is that right?
Right, and the delivery portion of it is mostly because they're not there long enough to cause any issue, but when other cars are parked in the turnabout area, the delivery trucks end up using the neighbor's driveway to get in and out of there. They can't make the full turn. And so it becomes kind of a traffic jam. So in the event there is a delivery, there is an emergency, and there's cars or just a car parked in the turnabout, it would cause an issue probably.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we'll close public comment and bring it back for discussion. Personally, I have trouble going forward with this because of the hillside lot ordinance and making the necessary findings. I understand that the argument is that for safety reasons, this parking deck is needed, but I'm very reluctant to have a parking deck that has, I think it's 20 or 30-foot piers over the side of the hill, and I know that you're putting in screening, et cetera. I just am troubled by the precedent that that creates. And I also think that there's plenty of parking with a 3-car garage and the places in front of the garage and the driveway to the front door and the turnaround that's available up there. So I have trouble going forward on this. Other people want to comment?
I also have trouble, but I can see where it could be awkward. The space is awkward and turning around trucks, and if you've got cars parked in that area outside of the fence, that it might be difficult. It's a lot of parking, but really compared to little houses that I know where there's very little parking and we have to back in and out all the time. So it feels like a luxury.
Julie, what are the specific elements of the hillside lot ordinance that this doesn't seem to meet?
To me, it's the bulk and the mass and the disruption of the, sorry. To me, it's the bulk and the mass and the disruption and building a structure that's careening out over the hillside, over the land. And it's troubling for me that hasn't been any precedent that we can identify anywhere else since the hillside lot ordinance was enacted. I think it's hard to reconcile with our general plan that argues that we should preserve natural hillsides. And I understand the safety component. It might have helped me to have a letter from the fire department in here saying that this was absolutely urgently necessary. And I don't see that in the record.
So I can appreciate that completely. I think when we all look at the design, it's difficult to look at that and see it as keeping our landscapes the way we want the hills and having a structure like that. The only pause I have is sometimes where I live up on Baywood and you go back, there are homes already existing on those very steep hills that have podium piers such this to allow for parking. And my biggest concern is just trying to keep cars off of those narrow roads because of, again, fires like we all are worried about to make sure there's access and people aren't parking. And what I've noticed in Upper Toyon, especially I have a friend that lives up there, sometimes there are parties, sometimes there's events, and people are really parking all over there. And to be able to have some extra space when people are entertaining, it's just helpful to keep the cars off the road. So I agree with you. It'd be nice if we had something from the fire department, and maybe in the future, that might be something we could ask for, is for the fire department to give us an opinion on a road. But that's sort of where I feel like it's more compelling to keep the road safe.
Yeah, I think the genesis of the hillside lot ordinance was to prevent parking decks like those that exist on Baywood and homes that exist on super steep, small lots. So that was the method behind the madness. Bill, did you want to say something?
Well, there are so many places in Ross, including the street I live on, where if you want extra parking, you're going to have to build a deck. It's just a steep hillside, and there is no room for any additional parking. And this is something on our street that just goes on all day long. Parking, delivery vehicles trying to get back and forth, kids learning how to drive. I mean, it's just a zoo out there. So I'm generally in favor of anything that gets cars off the road as a safety measure. It's just part of living in Ross. This particular project, I think, is a candidate for this, and there is an aesthetic concern, but since it's apparently not that visible or not visible and will be screened, I'm okay with it.
Anybody else want to comment? No? Elizabeth, no?
Well, I mean, I think I agree with you, Julie, about the hillside lot ordinance. We just don't have anything like this. I mean, I see the need, but I'm not sure that we intend for houses on steep hillsides to build parking decks. I mean, there's some towns where they are everywhere. Sausalito has parking decks everywhere. It just feels like we kind of are legislating away from that with the hillside lot ordinance by saying that, it should respect the contours of the land or whatever. And so I'm kind of torn, but I'm not sure that I could support it.
Any further discussion, or should we take a vote? Krista, did you want to add something?
No, I was just going to be the town clerk assistant.
Sorry. Yes. Oh, we need a motion. Yes, sorry.
So I move that we approve resolution number 2519. Sorry, 2518. 2518, sorry.
I'll second.
Mayor McMillan?
No.
Councilmember Dowling?
Yes.
Councilmember Kircher?
Yes.
Councilmember Salter?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2.
3-4.
I'm fired.
Thank you.
Who did Elizabeth Robbins vote yes?
He said yes, yeah.
Oh.
I was, but passed.
All right. 11C, 117 Laurel Grove Design Review and Town Council consideration of adoption of resolution number 2519.
Yes, good evening. The homeowner at 117 Laurel Grove is requesting approval for design review. It is to construct a 6-foot-high fence and also a 6-foot-high auto gate. During the ADR meeting, April 15th, 2025, the ADR members all supported the height of the fence and the gate, but recommended the gate be 50% transparent. The applicant has revised the plans to reflect a transparent gate and fence design. Staff requests that the Town Council adopts Resolution 2519 approving design review. Thank you.
Any questions from council? Does the applicant want to make any kind of a statement?
Yes, I have Brooks. Can you hear us, Brooke?
Yes, can you hear me? I don't actually have much of a presentation, except to say that we tried to address all of ADR's comments. And just to clarify, it's the upper portion of the fence that's 50% open above 4 feet tall. And anyway, I can answer any of the questions that come up.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Public comment?
No.
All right, let's bring it back to the council for any further discussion or motion.
I move we approve, or that we adopt resolution number 2519.
Second?
Okay, so Mayor McMillan,
Thank you, Roberta. Yes.
Councilmember Dowling.
Yes.
Councilmember Kircher,
Yes.
Councilmember Salter,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins.
Yes.
With a vote of 500, the motion passes.
Thank you. 11D, 78 Shady Lane, design review, variance, and town council consideration of adoption of resolution number 2521. Alex, is that you?
Yes, correct. Mayor and council members, tonight the applicant and homeowner at 78 Shady Lane is requesting approval from the town council for design review and a variance. The project is proposing new landscaping throughout the lot. For example, like a new fire pit and water feature in the front yard, and a pool and spa, patio, and outdoor kitchen will be in the rear yard setback. The pool equipment will be located inside the garage. During the ADR meeting, April 15th, 2025, one member fully supported the project, while the other 2 members supported the design of the project but were uncertain about the variance for the pool, and requested the project move forward to the town council for review. Staff requests that the town council adopt resolution 2521, approving design review and a variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for staff?
So I just have a question. So staff, Roberta, why is the staff recommending we approve? I'm just curious your findings.
So I did provide the updated minutes based on the public comment from the residents at One Locust. And there was nuance to that decision, right? So Joey Buckingham said that it was hard to say okay to a pool on a small lot. She did also say that it made a mockery of the setback rules, but she wanted to leave it to the council because she felt like the code should be rewritten for the area of the town where there's non-conforming lots and structures. And she did say that it made it challenging for them to do their job. And it's too small for the lot, but one of the findings that could be made, and this is included in the resolution, is that the pool has a driveway to the north and also behind. So it's basically based on that special circumstance. There's a pool behind the driveway on 80 Shady, and then on the lot to the left, there's also a driveway, or actually it's 78 Shady has their own driveway, and then behind that is a driveway and a pool. So that would be one of the findings. Also, it is a non-conforming lot. It doesn't have the depth, so it can't be moved further away. In consideration of that, the applicants, when they first went to ADR, did not get a recommendation or support to move forward to the council for the variance for the pool. And based on that, they did adjust what they're proposing. Originally was a 5-foot setback, now it's 9'8", almost 10 feet. And there were other pools in that area that had been approved with similar setbacks. So because of that, staff's recommendation at this time is to, make the findings and consider the variance.
I somehow missed this on the visit. What is the water feature in the front? And does that need a variance? Why is that part of the project?
Yeah, the water feature and the fire pit are within that buildable envelope.
So it doesn't need a variance. It's within the buildable envelope. It's outside the setback. Therefore, it doesn't require a variance.
I see. So it's just here because it's happening.
Exactly.
It's part of the project, but we don't need to, we're not opining on that.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I listened to the tape or the recording, and I think we need some guidance from staff to ADR and to council in terms of how to have more objective criteria, especially for pools on small lots that require variances. So I'm hopeful that you guys are going to be working on that to bring forward to ADR and then to council to make everyone's job a little more clear and objective. So that would be really helpful.
Yes, so staff did present this to ADR at the April meeting, and subsequently, Alex has been working on some research for past approvals for pools, and we are in the works of streamlining that process and coming up with objective standards and guidelines for variances for pools in the setbacks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Would the applicant like to make a statement or a presentation?
I don't know if this is on. It is on. Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor. Thank you for hearing about our project again. The staff report is very thorough. I think we've litigated everything on this, so I'm not going to add anything more about this project. But if you have any questions that you have directed towards us, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions for the applicant? Yeah, Matt.
So the lot's very built with the ADU. What's the reason? I mean, I don't even know where the pool will fit. It's so small, that courtyard. So why the addition? Why the pool? I was just curious why add it now, and why was it not part of the original scope of the project?
So this property was purchased after the original variance had been approved from the previous owner. So this pool wasn't part of the original project. It was something that was added by the new homeowner. And the reasons that she wanted to add this pool is because she has a child with special needs and he has sensory issues, and it's a therapeutic way for him to regulate his emotions, and it's basically something that they're going to use for therapeutic reasons to just help their son.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment?
Yes, we have Cheryl
Yes.
Unterman. Can you hear us, Cheryl?
Can you see and hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Town Council members. My name is Cheryl Unterman, and my husband Dennis and I have lived at One Locust for 37 years, the southern neighbor to 78 Shady Lane. I apologize for speaking over Zoom, but I'm on the East Coast. Please also refer to our letter to you dated May 1st, shown as 11D, supporting document Unterman, stating our support to the comments made by ADR members Buckingham and Dewar at their April 15th meeting. The draft ADR minutes are not transparent of the comments made at this meeting. They are quite the opposite. Our concerns have remained the same. The property has already been granted a recent variance. This does not entitle them to additional variances, as the owner gave as a reason to approve these new variances in her application. As ADR member Buckingham stated, it is just too much on a lot, and it strikes me as kind of a mockery of all of our setback rules, that they are a bit meaningless if we approve this. While there are other pools in the nearby neighborhoods with the same zoning, they are not apples to apples comparisons. The pools on these properties illustrated by the owner in her supporting documentation are not sandwiched between multiple structures on same-sized lots with multiple variances. Our concern remains to the overdevelopment of this property. The applicant is now asking for additional variances for a pool spa and outdoor kitchen, attempting to squeeze these structures between 3 buildings. This is too much for a small property to have wall-to-wall structures in the rear of the property. The design guidelines and required zoning code findings do not support this. We know that the ADU cannot be opined by the town council, but the new variance requests are driven by the location of the new garage within setbacks and the reconfiguring of the ADU from the original approved site plan, which was an L-shaped design. It is now an unsightly rectangular
Excuse me,
box.
Cheryl, we're
Yes.
unable to hear you. If you can please speak a little closer to your microphone.
Oh, sure. Okay. Did you not hear any of that?
It's
Okay.
better, thank you.
Okay, sorry. Okay. We know that the ADU cannot be opined by the town council, but the new variance requests are driven by the location of the new garage within setbacks and the reconfiguring of the ADU from the original approved site plan, which was an L-shaped design. It is now an unsightly rectangular box 38 feet down our shared property line, ending in the middle of our kitchen window, the heart of our home. It is an eyesore. While this new configuration benefited the rear neighbor at 80 Shady Lane, as those property owners will now be looking at trees rather than a building at their request, it completely did not respect the privacy of our property. We were impacted by 2 additions as well on the south side in the building of this new home that was increased from a 2-bed, 2-bath to a 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath. Approving this project for additional variances would be setting an example for all other projects in the town that code setbacks are meaningless, as stated by ADR member Buckingham, and that endless variances should be granted if a prior variance had been approved, as the owner has stated for the reason additional variances should be granted. Granting of these additional variances would be a granting of special privileges. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does the applicant, is there anyone else on Zoom or in the audience? Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Janet Redfield, and my husband and I own the property at 80 Shady behind 78. And I'm here to validate some of the importance of a pool for a child with sensory issues, because I too have a child with sensory issues. And our pool is very important to him. Cold, freezing cold, hot days, he regulates in that pool, and I can see a complete difference. And so I'm here on an emotional type of, I want to validate this sensory process issue that many kids have, and just a dip in the water can very much make a big difference in how that child responds to stress, homework, competition, schooling, all of it. So my husband and I and our whole family are in complete approval of having a pool for the applicant's son to be able to regulate his needs. I personally, I also have been listening to the safety issues that have been coming up with all the roads in Ross and such, and I'm a component I'm a mom for anything that keeps the children on the property and not in the streets and not in the way of all the electronic scooters and bicycles. And if a pool is there for her 2 children, or even for our children to go and swim with their 2 children, or vice versa, keeping the kids on the property is really important these days as a parent. And so we are in complete support of having this type of regulation for his needs, but also just to be considerate of kids' needs and things to do at that age and the ages that are coming up where it's so important to keep them close. So I appreciate you listening to my thoughts, and my husband and I have really appreciated all the professionalism that's gone around this entire project. So thank you. Any questions for me?
No, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
No.
All right. Does the applicant wish to make any statement in rebuttal?
Sorry, thank you for letting us speak again. We don't want to keep you. We know this has been a long meeting. Just wanted to mention that we have been working very closely with the neighbor at 1 Locust Avenue. We understand that she feels that the ADU that was built on our property has been a detriment to her views and to her privacy. We have gone out of the way to try to reduce the size of the ADU. We reduced it by 100 feet. We removed all of the windows that were along the neighboring property line to give her more privacy. She wrote and asked us to remove all view windows from the west-facing portion of the property that would look out on her property, which we did. She asked us to double the number of trees and screening along the property line and to plant larger 15-gallon trees, which we did. And up until about a week ago, she didn't have any complaints about the pool. She didn't mention it. She never said that there was something that she had a problem with when it came to that. So we just wanted you to know that we have been working with her and really trying to make this property still be pleasant and provide her privacy and, just try to help her well-being overall. And it's something that we've been cognizant of throughout the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone online? No, she already spoke. Sorry. All right, I'm going to bring it back to the council for discussion. Elizabeth.
So, we're talking about how the property is overbuilt. It's interesting, if we were considering this project before they built the ADU, I think it would seem very reasonable. We've approved many pools in smallish yards, and we've approved many pools, in setbacks, especially as is pointed out in this case, the setback, there's a driveway on one side and there's a pool on the other side of the fence on the other side. So if you leave out the ADU, to me, it seems like a very reasonable project. And unfortunately, we have no control over the ADU. I think that if this had come to us pre-ADU, I think there wouldn't have been much controversy. It seemed like a nice backyard addition. And we would never have approved an ADU that close to the property line. We have no control over ADUs. So it's, I think that's really unfortunate that the state is changing the feel of many neighborhoods in Ross and other communities by allowing structures where a community might not allow a structure. But the ADU is there, we have no control over it, and the pool seems reasonable. So I don't see anything, I don't see that there's a problem moving forward with the backyard landscaping on the pool.
Terry?
I just wanted to, actually, it's most likely a question or to Roberta or just Roberta, this is what I thought you said, that there are other lots in that neighborhood that also have pools that have variances and setbacks that are very similar. They're already in existence.
That's correct. So whether through variance approvals or nonconformities, there are existing pools with similar setbacks existing in that neighborhood.
Okay. That it would seem to me that it would make sense. There's other lots that are like that have been approved for these architectural changes. I don't see how we can say no because there's no other guidelines that we have to go by.
So I, as you all know, I'm never really big on the projects, and I really believe in property rights, and I love building housing. So I was struck when I went to visit this site. I personally feel like this is requiring a variance, so we actually have to decide And I was struck by the commentary from our design review, because I really do rely on their expertise because I don't have it. And when I visited the site, I actually I asked the workers, I said, where's the pool? Where's the pool supposed to be? And they said, pool? What pool? No, there's no pool. And I said, where was it supposed to be? I couldn't even figure out where there was room to put the pool. And the lot is so incredibly overbuilt. And so I think we don't have any control over the ADUs, but when we are asked to do, if we can look at a lot and say, and I'm thinking of this, the issue of who's living in the house and their issues, we have to think of the lifetime of this property. There'll be lots of owners and time will go on, and sort of what are our design standards? You brought up the hillside lot, and we really want to preserve what we can of the beauty of the town and the way that the town is built. And and there's so much that goes into the design review of trying to maintain it. And when I went to the site, I have to say, I didn't feel like this was really consistent with the other homes in the area. And I felt like it was very overbuilt. And it seems like I mean, I don't want to say no to anybody who wants to build a pool, but it just feels like at a certain point, there's only so much you can put on the square footage. And it's just a bridge too far for me. And that's just how I feel.
Joe?
Well, I agree, it's overbuilt. I just don't think adding that therapeutic pool is going to make that much of a difference in it being overbuilt. It's already overbuilt. I mean, they could put a patio in and buy one of these pools that's above ground and put it in too. So I appreciate the discussion about openness and so forth, and I certainly do agree with the comment about the ADUs. It's really, on some lots, it makes no difference. On some lots, it just changes the whole character of the lot and the neighborhood. And this is one of them. This is one of the things we're concerned about with ADUs, but it's not under our control. Anyway, I don't think the addition of the pool makes that big a difference to this property that, as I said, already does appear to be somewhat overbuilt.
Is this something that you could look at when you're developing your standards? It would be something that would be included?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion, or should we have a motion?
I move we approve Resolution 2521.
I'll second that.
Mayor McMillan?
Aye.
Councilmember Dowling?
Aye.
Councilmember Kircher?
Aye.
Councilmember Salter?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins?
Yes.
With the motion, with a vote of 4-1-0, the motion passes.
Thank you. Do you all want to take a quick break?
No, let's just move it.
Bill wants a break.
I would like to,
Yeah.
it can be very short.
Yeah, okay,
But
let's
I would
have
like to have a bite.
5-minute break.
Sure,
So
5
we'll
minutes.
resume at 8:15.
Okay. Oh, no. Do you have any Tylenol?
I mean, that's the killer. This would be very nice back out of the ADU. We were all over the pool. Then they have the right to go by ADU. It's hideous. I mean, maybe when it gets built better and has windows and that black siding and landscaping, it's awful. It's shocking how bad it is. The front of the house looks nice. It's shocking.
And of course, we're getting rid of having to rid trees and ivy and things because of fire, so there's not much you can do.
No. And even so, if you have just, a wall of trees, it's a wall. But then again, there's nothing we can do about the ADUs. I would be a hypocrite if I was really strong about pools. Our pool is 10 feet from the fence.
No, this was the hardest
And
part.
I didn't really
This is
think,
the hardest
and
part.
since there's a fence and then a pool on the other side, that's just something they drove. And then on the side of the driveways are easy, and then the ADU totally blocks it from the other property.
Everyone's built, I'm Bradford. I just feel so you can't let people build
I mean, there was, the thing is, the FAR of the house was the same as it was. They rebuilt the house.
because they're not counting.
Right. I mean, they rebuilt that house, without making it any bigger than what it used to be. So she bought a property that had a house on it, and she's improving the house, and then they have a right to do an AD, and then they moved the garage, which makes sense, because the garage is in a reasonable place now. And then
Yay.
that's what
I took the guy's hand from,
not so much.
there's a
We have
project that I
FAR,
was
it's not
disqualified
bad, it
for
keeps things
basically.
reasonable.
I said, I love your project.
And now we have to use them, so our house is.
I know, we need a.
We're going to sell that house, aren't we?
This is a horrible backyard. I agree. But it's a horrible backyard.
I don't know how to say to them, but I'm nice to
So it's hideous.
Yes.
Wait, is it?
And I thought,
And he learned to cheat about us to me.
yes, and he was very eloquent about his supports. Make a difference. Does he know that his neighbor's got the house up for sale? Makes me want to drive up there in about a year from now and see where those delivery trucks are and where they want to have more parties, that's right. They need really good parties.
Lose weight.
Not
You don't
for
look
the
like you
gardeners.
But also good for the body, just to give the body time to digest the food.
There's
So you technically,
critters.
you
I
stop
know.
eating at 7 and you go to bed at 10,
Yeah.
and those are the hours that you're actually, and so when you sleep, your body can do what it needs to do, which is attract it, deal with other issues, I guess. So I don't know, I've heard about it, I've tried it a little bit, it's good.
Well, if it works.
If we're issuing new requirements, we know exactly what we're issuing, and that we all agree, or at least we've all heard about it and have a majority that agree. So I wasn't sure what, because it says shall be maintained and designed. I just wonder, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think that's so this is a general plan policy that sets guidance for a subsequent update to the zoning code, and the zoning code is where the specific regulations would be defined. The way this is written is it provides latitude on how specifically they would be designed to reduce fire danger. The requirement is that something must be done, something practicable must be done to reduce fire danger. If you think that shall is too strong a word, it could be changed to should. Then it becomes more advisory.
Why don't we do, well, I would say should until we have an absolute requirement, and then the requirement is shall. I mean, that would be my preference. There's a similar one on 5.3, and it says, let's see, design, so this is 5.3, fire-resistant design. Designs shall minimize risk of fire by a combination of factors, including but not limited to the use of ignition-resistant building materials, fire sprinklers, et cetera. I mean, if there's not an absolute requirement, it should be, I think it should be should until we have a state or city law that says we must use non-combustible shingles, or we must use, whatever. That would be my preference, that it be should until there's an absolute shall.
Yeah.
For those two spots.
Don't we already have that? Isn't that already required?
So I think the nuance there with the shall being a requirement and the should being a recommendation, or more loosely a guideline. My understanding from Ross Valley Fire Department is for new construction or substantial remodels, there's already a vegetation management plan that's required as part of that require defensible space. Again, as Andrew sort of outlined, the safety element is a policy document. It's not what we would use to implement, right? That would then come with the zoning amendments. And I believe those code changes to the fire requirements will happen by the end of the year.
In the zoning.
In the zoning,
update.
that's correct.
I mean, so to me, that seems all the more reason to make these shoulds, because the zoning requirements will be absolute and they will be shalls.
if we leave it as should, and the zoning requirements come in at the end of the year, when would this be redone? When would this document be redone?
It would not be redone. So for instance, part of the findings you would make for many of the design review and planning projects is consistency with the general plan, right? So if these became implemented through the zoning ordinance, some of the findings could then point to these requirements. But if we change shall to should, they would not be requirements. They would be recommendations or guidelines. Anything to add, Andrew?
I mean, I think so CAL FIRE prefers that shall be used in policies, but CAL FIRE reviews when there's land that's within a very high fire hazard severity zone, which is not the case in Ross. So I think the use of the shall is coming from sort of CAL FIRE best practices, but since it's not a hard and fast requirement that it be on the books here in Ross because there aren't any very high fire hazard severity zones. I think the council has the discretion whether to use should or shall.
And as you said, if there are new requirements, they will be in the zoning code and they will be absolute requirements.
Correct.
Yeah, I totally agree. Why don't we should use should, because then it gives us the flexibility to decide after like what we want and what we don't want. It just gives us more flexibility. I did have one other question though, which was regarding the flood changes with the language of FEMA's no rise certification. I want to make sure that we're okay with this because that we have a lot of homes right on the flood plain. And so let's say somebody wanted to take out their deck or some change to their house. This requirement, I can imagine it being very costly for a homeowner to have to prove that they're not adding any rise to the creek. So I just want to really make sure before we put this in here that we are comfortable requiring this of any change to a home that's along the creek.
Which section?
Sorry, it's 6.1.
Yeah.
It says, and FEMA's no rise certification requirements as applicable.
I think Rich maybe help me with this. I think that language was put in to match what was in the local hazard mitigation plan. I believe that's where it's coming from.
Yeah, and it's a federal requirement. You can't get around it. Yeah, Rich Simonich, Public Works Director. Yeah, the wording was meant to match what we adopted in our local hazard mitigation plan. And it is required in that it's a federally regulated floodway that comes through Ross. So there's no way around it. Hopefully that answers the question.
Oh, yeah, so I'm just wondering, Rich, how, just practically speaking, this would be implemented?
In fact, we're implementing on a new project that's being developed in the floodway. It's an onerous process, but we need to do everything we can do to keep development out of the floodway. And if people insist on building in the floodway, then they're going to have to follow all the regulations. There's really no way that staff's going to lean on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Terry? Yeah, I just had one question on 515, post-disaster recovery. It's the one place it's new and it's added. Is it just post-recovery as it relates to fires, or is it post-recovery related to future fires and other natural disasters?
And other, it's not just fire. It could be flooding. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you just might want to add those words, other
Okay.
natural disasters. Okay, thank you.
And thank you for adding 5D, which is facilitate emergency access in constrained neighborhoods. That's super important. And there's been a lot of extinguishment of easements over time, and gates that used to be open or not even there, that have kind of morphed into locked gates with lots of locks and padlocks and chains. And So to the extent that we can help those owners unlock those gates in an emergency and during red flag warning days, that'll be really helpful for the residents that live in those areas. Anybody else? Okay, so public comment on this? And Cindy, is there anyone on Zoom for public comment? Probably not.
There's no raised hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring it back and for any further discussion or a motion?
I move we approve 2503 with the two shoulds changed to, two shalls changed to shoulds.
And we add other natural disasters. Second.
Mayor McMillan?
Aye.
Councilmember Dowling?
Aye.
Councilmember Kircher?
Aye.
Councilmember Salter?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins?
Aye.
With a motion of 500, the motion passes.
Thank you so much. Number 13, which is appointed town treasurer.
Thank you, Mayor McMillan and council. The item before you tonight is a recommendation from your finance subcommittee made up of Mayor McMillan and Councilmember Salter for the council to consider approving the recruitment of an appointed town treasurer and to provide direction to the town manager regarding the amount of the position's stipend, if any. The town has been well served by its current appointed treasurer, Kelly Reed, since I believe the mid-90s, so for quite a while. Every city and town in the state of California is required to have a town treasurer position. In the staff report, it lists the government code sections and the duties. In the county of Marin, 2 cities have elected treasurers. Ross is the only town with an appointed treasurer that's not a staff person. The rest of the cities and towns in Marin County appoint professional staff as their treasurer. So for example, a finance director or a finance manager would also have the title and duties of treasurer assigned to that position. Additionally, with few exceptions, most cities and towns in California with elected or appointed treasurers assign the majority of the responsibilities and duties of the town treasurer to professional staff. And that's what's happened over the years. This has also occurred in Ross. Currently, the appointed town treasurer occasionally performs transfers to and from the town's main investment vehicle and serves as backup reviewing and signature authority should the town manager be unavailable. These duties have been, as I said, have been ably performed by our treasurer, Kelly Reed. This past February, the Finance Subcommittee considered the current duties of the town treasurer and recommended that, and the subcommittee now recommends that the duties of town treasurer retain the following duties. The first duty is to review the quarterly investment report to the council on the amounts and location of town cash assets, to annually review and provide recommendations on the town's investment policy to both the Finance Subcommittee and to the Town Council, in coordination with the town manager and the town's investment advisor, maintain the town's investment portfolio while 1, ensuring compliance with the town's adopted investment policy, legal requirements, and best practices, and 2, maintaining adequate cash flow to fund town operations and the implementation of the adopted capital improvement program. Another duty is to provide reports on the performance of the town's investment portfolio and investment strategy to the Finance Subcommittee and the Town Council as requested, and then to continue to occasionally perform transfers to and from the town's main investment vehicle and serve as backup reviewing and signature authority should the town manager be unavailable. The recruitment of an appointed town treasurer. The Finance Subcommittee does recommend to the council that a recruitment be conducted, and that can be conducted by our town clerk. Currently, but one of the things we need to know is if the council would like to continue the existing stipend. For many years, the stipend for the appointed treasurer has been $250 per month. The Ross Town Council receives no stipend for its services. Therefore, an alternative for the town council consideration is to adjust that monthly stipend, or there's an option that no salary, benefits, or other employment compensation accrues with the position. So in the staff report is a list of desirable qualifications for the town treasurer position. I won't repeat them now unless you want me to, but those would be included on the recruitment flyer that the town clerk would put together and publish. The anticipated time commitment is low. It's about 2 to 5 hours per month. It is important that we have the required qualifications. So there's desired qualifications, and the required qualifications is the town treasurer must be a resident of the town of Ross, and we would conduct a background reference check. There must be satisfactory completion of a background screening, including but not limited to criminal, financial, and employment professional reputation reference. Staff will begin the recruitment immediately upon receiving town council direction, with the goal of placing a formal appointment of the town treasurer on the town council's June 12th, 2025, or July 10th, 2025 agenda for consideration. I'm available for questions if you have them.
Do you have someone in mind? Is there someone in town who's interested in doing this?
I do not have anybody in mind.
Okay.
And one thing that I was thinking, does this person need to have insurance in case they do something really wrong?
I looked as many other recruitment flyers for other appointed town treasurer positions as I could find. I didn't see that one as a requirement. But I can certainly follow up on what's the common practice.
Could they be covered under the town's insurance?
I'm pretty sure that they
would be otherwise.
They are. You mean for like a performance bond or
something to protect the town in case they do something wrong?
I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure if our town attorney or even our public works director has any experience with that topic. Do you, Rich? No?
Chime in while Rich is getting up there.
Yeah.
The experience I've had is that you can't really find folks to apply and provide insurance because of the cost. So usually any wrongdoing would be covered by our insurance policies if they're acting within the scope of the job description that we create.
Maybe we should say that in the recruitment.
Mm-hmm. I wonder though, thank you, Ben. Rich, do you have anything to add about?
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of in it for a professional is an errors and omissions type insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the closest thing I can think that's relevant.
Okay. And thank you, Rich. And I mean, sometimes certain positions have some kind of a bond or something, some kind of.
Yeah, it's old language in the municipal code, but that doesn't usually work anymore. It's hard to find those bonds. So usually,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, I'd be shocked that their duties are not covered by our insurance policy, but it's definitely something we want to check with Sedgwick before we.
Yeah, I thank you, because that's what I'm thinking of. There was some kind of.
Bonding of the police chief and the.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Right. And I do know that some cities take out extra insurance policies regarding, for embezzlement. There's some kind of word, some kind of financial irregularity, you can take out extra insurance for that purpose. We do not have it unless it's already a part of our insurance pool, and I don't believe it is, but I can follow up on that topic. But I do agree with our town attorney that making somebody provide that would be a pretty big hurdle. Okay.
Any other questions? Should we have public comments? Okay, bring it back for discussion. Matt?
I was just, I do think we should pay the stipend. It's very small, but I do think one thing, joining the council is, it's a lot of work and we don't get paid. And I actually, now doing all the work, it does bother me. So I think if we're gonna ask people to do work on our behalf, it's not like the town doesn't have money. We should pay people for doing the work that they're doing.
I would agree.
Agree. Continue the stipend or even increase it.
I think it's, I think there's inconsistency that we are working so hard all the time and we don't get anything. Oh, we do get dinner if it's before 6.
Well, now.
If it's before 6. Sorry, Bill.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
We get presents.
I think there's some inequity, having a town treasurer get paid and we don't get paid. And I think we're working a lot harder than 3 to 5 hours a month. So I have a problem having that person be paid.
We could always change our situation to get paid.
I would be in
We
favor
could
of
make it
that.
per hour.
It's not much of a, it's not much of a stipend. I think we'll be lucky if somebody wants the job, and I don't think that the stipend will make a difference. And if it's easier to not have a stipend because of parity with the council, or because of bookkeeping, or because of workers' comp or unemployment or whatever, then we should just see if there's someone out there who has experience and goodwill and is interested in doing this. I asked if you had someone in mind because I was kind of wondering who's going to do this. But maybe somebody will come forward. But I'm okay to not have a stipend because I don't think it's enough to make a difference. What would make a difference perhaps is if there's a small stipend and the possibility of paying for health insurance on your own through the town or something, then you have a real benefit. But short of that, I don't think the stipend's worth it.
Okay. It sounds.
I was just going to add, we're currently paying a stipend. Like, this isn't, we are already paying the stipend. We've been paying it since the 90s. So it's saying, why would we take it away, especially when we're trying to recruit somebody to do the job? I agree. I actually think we would raise it to get some maybe people actually interested. And the question on the council, I totally support us getting some stipend for our work, especially, I would just add, it's a side subject, but we do these outside coffees or meet with townspeople, and like to buy them a coffee, or it just sort of a little, or parking, or just any of the things we've had to do. I know Councilmember Dowling just drove up to Santa Rosa for a conference and went back and forth. So it's just like, there's all these things that we're doing that actually cost more than just time.
I did get reimbursed for that.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. So anyway, I would say, let's not take away the stipend from the treasurer. If we have a problem with not getting paid, we should have that as an agenda item to talk about it for ourselves.
I agree. I'm sorry, Julie. Yeah. I agree with Matt. I think the problem is taking it away. It's not whether it's there or not, it's taking it away. It's like we're downgrading this position or we're diminishing it slightly. I don't think it'll make a huge difference to whoever the candidate is in this day and age, but I would prefer to leave it.
We'd only be taking it away if were we to say to Kelly Reed, we're not going to pay you anymore. And if we create a new position where it's clear, where we're not having any compensation, we're not really taking anything away. I mean, if you do the math, 30 years times $3,000, if I did the math right, that's almost $100,000. So I don't know.
Well, you could try to hire without any stipend and see what happens. See if anybody says, yeah, I'll jump in. And,
Just one last thing I'd say is that we offer the stipend, somebody can always say no. You know, like the president sometimes decides he doesn't want to take a salary. You can offer it and someone says, hey, I don't need it, and they just say no.
Right.
So it's an option.
just a quick question. Do other council members for other towns and cities get reimbursed on a monthly basis?
They have a stipend.
Really?
Everybody,
Really?
Everybody.
Yes,
I
they
don't
do.
think, I don't think Belvedere does, but I think everybody else does. Yeah.
Like how much?
It
$1,000?
varies. I think Santa's almost like 300. There's a range.
There's a range. I think Larkspur's was just increased quite a bit. In some cases, I certainly don't want to propose this, but to answer your question fairly, like sometimes they also get benefits.
Okay. I mean, for me, it's like I waived the fire, what is it, Ross Valley Fire Department, they pay so much if you go. It's not worth it. No, so.
Do we need to vote on this? Or are you just seeking guidance?
Well, I need to know what to put in the flyer.
Okay.
So regarding a stipend, because the Finance Committee did bring that up.
So my view would be, let's go ahead without a stipend and see what happens. That's my view.
Well, since I suggest that as a possibility, yes, I think I need to go along with that. But I do think that they should get something really, but I can go along with let's see what happens. If you're able to recruit really good qualified people in Ross who are willing to do this, and as Matt said, they may say fine, but I'm not willing to, do it for money.
Well, I kind of want the stipend. It's there. And when they go ask Kelly Reed, he might, they say, who's the past treasurer? And he's like, oh, I loved it. And it's a small amount of money, but it was nice. I mean, I just don't know why we're taking it away. I don't really understand it.
I would include it, and if the council at some further future point decided that to propose that council members get some sort of a stipend too, there's at least a precedent for it.
Well, I mean, we're not on the agenda, but for the treasurer, I would agree with Julie and Tara. I would just start out without it. I think it's not enough to make a difference. Though maybe when you advertise the position, you can point out that they can join the council Christmas party and they can join the spring picnic, and maybe we'll
Oh,
give them
not
a
a water
parking,
bottle,
and they
no.
get town swag. That's what I would do.
So my apologies, Mayor Pro Tem Robbins, but you just said that right, okay.
Three of us are okay for you to recruit without a
Okay.
stipend.
Okay.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So just to read this back to you here, so the town clerk will conduct a recruitment ASAP. It's not going to include a stipend. It will include the duties, the desired qualifications, the required qualifications that are listed on the staff report. Then, assuming we get a handful of qualified applicants, would you like me to bring those to the Finance Subcommittee for vetting or bring them to the full council?
I think the Finance Subcommittee is good enough unless you all want to
I
participate.
agree, because you can tell them that the Finance Subcommittee will evaluate the applications and choose someone, and then they don't have to go into a public meeting with a council confirmation, which I think could deter people from applying.
Well, our committee is a Brown Act committee, so we would have to,
Well, they also have to be appointed by the town council.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
they
they
don't
could
all
be
have.
chosen by the Finance
Yeah.
They
Committee?
can be recommended by, the finance committee can make a recommendation and conduct the interviews and then bring that recommendation to the full town council.
I think that would be a great process. What about you Finance Committee people?
Oh, we would love to do that.
Okay. I think I have clear direction unless there's something else that the council would like to add. Do we ask for public comment yet, Town Clerk?
We didn't. Public comment?
Is there any public comment? Okay. Any public comment in the room? Okay.
you.
So I do not think we need a motion. That was the last item on our agenda. And I need clarification from the council on something on one of your earlier items. The item 10I that was on the council agenda, town council appointments, I was automatically wanting to implement that, and I realized that the agenda item actually says for fiscal year 25-26, which would indicate that those new dates are, the effective date would be July 1. But if I recall, and I'm not able to look right now on my phone, but I recall that the appointments last year, after the council made the appointments, I think that they were effective immediately last year.
Because we had vacancies that we needed to fill because we were having 2 new council members.
So I think I just want to be clear on this, and if that is the council's, if that's what you believe, that the new appointments that would take place immediately, then we need to ask the council to reconsider the item from earlier this evening, because right now, the recommendation that's on the agenda and in the staff report say ratify the appointments to the town council committees, subcommittees, and liaison assignments for fiscal year 25-26. So I want to really make sure I understand where the council wants to go on this.
My intent was to have these take place as soon as possible.
Okay.
So does that mean we need to vote again?
I'm defer to our town attorney.
One of the 3 who vote in favor can bring a motion to reconsider. If you want the effect of the resolution to be immediately, not for the fiscal year, we need to first have a motion to reconsider made by one of the 3 who voted in favor of the motion.
So it's not a resolution, just to point out.
Did I say resolution?
You did.
Okay. No, motion.
Motion, okay.
I make a motion to reconsider.
Second.
Mayor McMillan. Councilmember Dowling.
Aye.
Councilmember Kircher.
Aye.
Councilmember Salter.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0-0.
So now the item 10I is before you again, and you should open public comment one more time.
There are no commenters online.
And now you can consider making a motion to ratify based on the time frame that you wanted it to be effective by.
Immediately? Okay. I'll make a motion that the town council ratify the appointments to town council committees, subcommittees, and liaison assignments effective immediately for the next, immediately. Okay.
Second.
Mayor McMillan. Councilmember Dowling.
Aye.
Councilmember Kircher.
Aye.
Councilmember Salter.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Robbins.
No.
With a motion of 3-2-0, the motion passes.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Appreciate that.
Now we'll go to number 14, no action items. A, council correspondence. Anything? B, future council items.
I would like with Matt to make a recommendation. A future item would be maybe to ask staff to explore the cost and feasibility of tearing down the raised paddleball court that's not being used in Pixie Park right now and replace it with a bocce ball court.
Pixie Park?
Is it, no, it's the park that's.
Frederick Allen.
Frederick Allen, thank you. Frederick Allen, oh, wrong park. Yes. And it would really depend
Microphone,
upon.
please. It wasn't in the thing.
Can you
picking up.
start over?
Yes, I can start over. We'd like for a future item would be the tearing down of the paddleball court that's near the tennis courts, that's not being used at all now, and replace it with a bocce ball court.
Someone join Terry.
Sorry, Terry, I didn't know we were ripping a court down. I thought it was just going to be where the,
It's not even being used.
I know people use the paddle court. I see that. Oh, yeah, I see people play it all the time. Sorry.
Then no, then that.
No,
didn't know
I'm
that.
so sorry. I thought we were going to put it in the park somewhere. I didn't know we were going to rip the court out.
If you could put it in the park, anywhere in the park, but that was the space. that-
Maybe we should have Ross Recreation scope out at place in Frederick Allen Park or something like that.
Perfect. But also think about the money, what it would cost. Is this really feasible to do?
Because it's kind of like a capital improvement project, right? Like the kind of spring consideration.
Unless RPOA thinks of it,
Yeah.
right?
Excuse me, Mayor, through the mayor. So if there are two people that want to bring back this item as a future agenda item, I would suggest that you direct me to bring back options, to work with staff to bring back options. Because I think we need to look at, and we can include, one option could be to take down the court with an approximate cost of how much that would be. And there could be some other things like survey or try to get an idea of how many people really use it. That did come up when we were looking at striping of the pickleball courts. And then another option could also be, is there any room there? I don't know. And I don't know how big a bocce ball court is and what the requirements are of that. So we would come back with this. It's not going to be something that we can do right away, but we can certainly work on it. And we don't necessarily have to wait a whole nother year, but it's going to take a little time. So, your budget and your capital improvement program, they are a working document. It's always it is best practice to try to do it all within the budget process. But, there are other occasions when the council has considered items outside of the annual budget process. So we would just do as council directs, and you might decide when you might decide that you want to pursue a particular option and then direct us to bring it back as part of the capital improvement program in the spring.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I support, I would say it's more broader, maybe just take a look at Frederick Allen Park as just options to make the park a little more user-friendly, and that might include a bocce ball court or other ideas that Ross Rec has, just as an item, and it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but I think that the park is underutilized personally.
I do too.
I'm just, given the discussion here, I'd love for us to talk about a stipend. I think it's worth exploring with staff to see what other towns pay and what best practices are, and just think of it as an item, because I know we all know we work pretty hard, and some of us might, again, you don't have to take the stipend, but I think it's worth looking at.
I would support that. C, we're going to have this on our agenda every time, council member participation at the communication table at the Ross Post Office for the next council meeting day, which is June 12th, and I will be there from 11 to 1. And I'll put it on for next time, and you can look at your calendars, and if someone wants to sign up for July, and we could do it, for the rest of the year, we could just sign up informally at the end of each meeting.
Are you contemplating something where, like when we go out to a property, there's only two of us to look at the property? Because if there are three of us, and then we all start discussing something.
No,
with
I'm contemplating that it would just be one of us.
Oh, I see.
It's not a group thing.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll talk to you if you want to stop by.
Just paddleball.
Okay.
Or I thank you for doing that. I would say if a second person wants to join, because it works for their schedule, I would say we should allow us to, just because sometimes we might not be able to work it in. So if two people are at the table, I think it's even better. So at least one minimum, but
two is
but
nice.
exactly. If one of us can join two and it just works in our schedule, I think that's a nice thing for the town.
Okay. We can do a sign-up sheet. I can send around a sign-up sheet without violating the Brown Act, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I will send around a sign-up sheet.
Well,
Staff.
yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
staff.
we can send out a sign-up sheet, but I'm sorry, I thought the purpose of this agenda item was to, set it now, and because we want to definitely make sure there aren't 3 people that would not be good.
No.
So is somebody else tonight prepared to sign up for June 12th, 11 to 1, right, Mayor?
Yes. So
That was
residents-
the purpose of the agenda item,
Yes, that's the purpose.
is to decide for the coming month, and then we all don't have to do any scurrying around figuring out.
Well, if anyone wants to join me, just send me an email, right? For June 12th. And if you're late and you're the third person, I'm going to tell you no. Right?
I can do July, but not June.
Okay.
And I think if we just, staff sends around a Google Doc, it just might be, our POA, we had to do this for covering the town council meetings, and it's very helpful to plan out the year, and then people's schedules always change. So I appreciate that it's an item on our agenda every month, but things
Well,
always are moving around.
Yeah,
Okay, so then do you want to take it off your agenda?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
not
let's-
have it on your agenda every month, and then just do a staff have a Google Doc, if everybody knows how to use those?
That'd be great. Is that
Okay.
okay with everyone? Yes. And then if your schedule changes and your commitment falls through, you are responsible for finding a replacement.
Which also, I think, in the Google Doc have 2 slots, and that's even coverage if somebody drops out, hopefully the other person can still make it. So it's sort of coverage, because I know everybody's schedules change.
Okay, great. So we'll never see that on our agenda again. Number 15, meeting evaluation. This is something new. This is something that we used to do at the school board, and Elizabeth, you proposed this. Do you want to say a little something about it?
Well, I think if anyone has, a one-liner about what worked or what didn't work, it's a good time to say it. If there's nothing in particular, to say, then we move on.
Okay.
I just have a real quick comment. There was one person who was opposing a project, very difficult to hear. I suppose I'm difficult to hear sometimes too, but
Cheryl Unterman?
yeah.
Her audio was really hard.
eventually asked that she's increase her audio, which she did, but we still had difficulty hearing her. I wonder, should we ask people to be sure their audio is turned up and so forth, and maybe intervene a little sooner and say, gee, we can't really
Probably
hear
should have
you.
interfered,
Yeah.
should have said right away.
Okay.
Because I think we're all struggling to hear her, but, okay, so it's a good tip. We'll just see if we can't,
Comment?
Yeah, Krista.
intervene sooner, speak up.
I just want to comment. I think she was probably looking down, reading her prepared statement. And so we definitely, our town clerk or whomever, we can definitely intervene earlier. I want to remind everybody here, in case you haven't read on our agenda up in the beginning, we have the standard language, and you'll see every city has this on their standard language, that if the technology doesn't work, that's too bad, so sad, because this is the public hearing, and if she wants to really be here, she can be here, or she can also send information, et cetera. So I just want to make sure that the council has read this, and if you're ever, we need to manage expectations for people, that there's oftentimes when the Zoom is just not going to work. I was on a Zoom meeting earlier today that kept on bumping people off, and we're not going to be able to stop everything. And okay, thank you.
Any other constructive criticism about our meeting?
Well, I could talk about something that worked. There was things that were good, so sort of what worked. I thought that it was really nice to have like Cedars here. The presentation was a little long. It was a little longer than it was supposed to be. But it was really dear to have community people here talking about something that they are involved in and want us to weigh in on. So I really appreciated that. It was fine.
Anybody else? Matt?
I just wanted to say that along those lines, sometimes it's hard to know how long a certain topic might take. And so it'd be helpful for us, either we sort of can put in the notes, like this is a 1 hour presentation. Like for example, Roberta's last item, I had no idea there was a consultant coming in, there was gonna be slides, and we were gonna, how deep we're gonna go on something. So I think it'd be helpful to see sort of like, hey, this is supposed to be an hour long, or this is supposed to be a 10-minute presentation, or some sort of timeline, and we try to keep to it. I mean, we just sort of try to keep the presentations and things going so that, or we allocate, or we know, and I leave that to your discretion, Krista, but like, hey, this is supposed to be a 30-minute item. It might go longer because we're discussing it, but at least we're trying to keep the meetings going.
I just want to say that they did know that they had 10 minutes, and they've been practicing 10 minutes, but
Oh, no, first of all,
I think
and
they
this
just
wasn't,
got a
it
little
was,
nervous,
by the way,
and
this wasn't actually towards them. This is, I mean, for example, I had this item at the end with the consultant, zero clue that there was going to be a very large item. So that, and I did too. But for example, we're going to have those kids come in about the smoking. And a lot of us were all at the MCC. So I would say, I totally support that item. But since a lot of us have already heard the information, maybe they don't need to do an hour-long presentation. So,
only 10 minutes.
Well, no, you see what I'm saying? So we can do is put on the agenda, like this is a 10-minute item. And you're just like, hey, you got, just like we do to people, you got 3 minutes, like, hey, guys, you got 10 minutes, like, make it quick.
And tell them before, that's what they have.
Yes, exactly, so they can prep before.
And to that, it was great, Julie, to have that 5-minute break before, because, that was a long, involved discussion about the safety plan, and to have a break before was great.
Maybe I'm thinking about a different agenda, but I thought we used to do that, to have a time indication. Does that sound familiar on our agenda? No? Maybe I'm
I
thinking of.
recall some agenda, and it might have been the school board agenda or another board, but they had like an estimate to allow people who wanted to come later to kind of figure out when their item would be discussed.
Yeah.
May I
Yes.
add my comment there to it? So first of all, we always tell people under presentations, you've got 10 minutes. And actually, Councilmember Dowling, I timed it. It was 14 minutes and 52 seconds. It really wasn't that too long. And that's often what happens is they'll make a presentation and then there will be Q&A, and it's up to the mayor and the chair of the meeting to determine, to manage the meeting. So rest assured, we absolutely, and so when the youth come from Branson, they will absolutely be told that they have 10 minutes. I think we used to have occasionally our closed session might say, we used to put the amount of time we thought each one was going to take, just because you have to back it up from the start of the council meeting. And I know a lot of cities, there's quite a few cities that try to put the times. I can tell you right now, in my experience, it's never accurate and it never works. So we're more than happy to try to do that. We try to put for the planning items, so there were 4 design review items. We separate that here between planning part 1, which are supposed to be not really have a lot of discussion, and then planning part 2, which are meatier. I think one of them, 78 Shady Lane, probably would have benefited from being on the second one. So sometimes, we definitely can, that's how we try to manage those items. We can try to do it. And so for example, for the safety element, if you couldn't tell by the size of the report that it was going to take a while, I could be more than happy to put that on there, but it's not really going to, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It might also help whoever's being mayor to sort of, say, oh, this was supposed to be a 10-minute item.
Did you feel like things were dragging?
I thought this was a long meeting, but also we had our closed session too before, so that that just made it even longer. And so it was, I actually, and I think, Bill, you did an amazing job. So I think it sort of gives everyone the headlight on the agenda, like, hey, keep it moving. And no one wants to be rude, right? Nobody ever wants to be rude telling somebody that, but if you had it written like 10 minutes and then you're like, thank you, we're gonna kind of we need to move this along. It makes it a little easier, that's all.
And then just one other thing, I do meet weekly with the mayor and the mayor pro tem, and we go over the future agendas as best we can. And so we talk about, okay, hey, the item that's probably going to take the longest is this particular item. We need to make sure we allocate enough time. Or oftentimes the mayor and the mayor pro tem will know that they think that this item is going to generate a lot of public comment. So we want to make sure we allocate. So we do work closely on trying to manage the agendas so that you're not here that late. We also, you only meet once a month. It's a bit more challenging when you only meet once a month, but I do work with the mayor and the mayor pro tem on that, so.
Well, why don't we try, the three of us try to be more mindful about the time issues? And then if you feel like we're not doing a great job, please bring it up again and we'll move stuff along, rather than scoping out kind of arbitrary time limits that probably no one's going to follow.
Yeah, great. I mean, that's why, and I'm glad we're having this item.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's really nice being able to just sort of talk about what worked and what didn't.
Yeah. Anything else?
I just want to add, I thought that 10I was a difficult, we took it off the agenda. It was a difficult issue. And I think it was handled pretty well. I know there were strong feelings on both sides, but I think that it was handled professionally. So I really appreciate all the council members and your thoughtfulness about that.
Well, and I think it helped to have the Cedars come right beforehand and emphasize that kindness should be our mantra, and maybe we even want to have another goal with kindness. I don't know. It's not really in our main purview of business, but it's not a bad thing to consider, especially in light of what's going on at the national level.
I think the reminder of all of us need to be kind to each other, and that we're not always going to agree, but we're going to work together.
In the spirit of kindness, I suggest you shorten the evaluation and go home.
Good idea.
That's always a
Thank
kind
you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.